Hello, good morning to all. Today we will try to understand the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, which has been prescribed for study. Bhagavad Gita, we all know, is a part of the great epic, the Mahabharata, written by Rishi Vedavyas. This epic is about the battle between the two groups, the Pandavas that represented good, and the Kauravas who represented the evil. It is said that the incarnation of Vishnu, Lord Shri Krishna, was approached by the earth because it was overburdened with evil. And after the prayer made to the preserver chose to wipe out evil from the earth. As he says during the Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tad sambhavami yoge yoge. Whenever there will be a decline in values, a deterioration in moral standards, I shall come and I shall wipe out the evil. Whenever there would be a sense of destruction, I will clean out the sources that are the sources of destruction of the intense human values. So that this part in which the major warrior, the Arjun from among the Pandavas, when actually the battle has been finalized, and they meet at the battleground of the Kurukshetra, Arjun asks Lord Shri Krishna, who is the charioteer to Arjun, he asks him to take him to a place in between the two warring armies from where he can take a view of the people he is going to kill meticulously with his art of archery. But then, when he sees his own kins, his inmates, his guru, his elders, and the people who he revered tremendously, standing with arms against him, he succumbs to a disillusionment. There is a kind of misery, there is a kind of inactivity which overcomes him. And in these weak moments of finding himself being unable to perform this duty which Lord Shri Krishna had devised, and he was an instrument for the performance of that duty, he becomes helpless. He shows the fleshly weaknesses which we all come to suffer from. So this chapter, the chapter 2, is called the Sankhya Yoga. The Sankhya Yoga, the title indicates Sankhya means numeral, the numerical, and yoga is summation, fusion. So we are made up of the 5 elements and Prakriti governing these 5 elements. A person who by any means is able to unify the yoga of these elemental sankhyas before us will be existing in esteem over all ages. And Krishna and Arjun, who is credited to have been the best warrior of his time, though he was not so. His guru was there, Karn was there, Eklavya was there, Barbarik was there, but all the credit falls to to Arjun, because he, at the behest of Lord Shri Krishna, was able to unify these. In this chapter 2, which comprises of 72 verses, 10 first 10 verses describe the disturbed state of Arjun's mind. 11 to 39 contain the elements of Sankhya Yoga, while 40 to 70 deal with the practice of Buddhi Yoga, or the yoga of intelligence. So this chapter is specially important because it places the Buddhi, the analytical power which one must always exercise to justify his physical existence, which may be split down by several Sankhyas. This Buddhi, it finds it is emancipated, it is evident in the Prakriti, because Prakriti also has a system. Whatever is heavy comes down at the core. Whatever is not so heavy remains in the mid-sphere, and whatever is light goes up. Though everything is made up of the same element, the ether, but it stations itself in accordance to the duty to its elemental stage. This chapter 2 is, in fact, an extended explanation of the Sankhya Yoga. It justifies, it speaks about the anxiety that came into the heart of Arjun and how Lord Shri Krishna made him to reason out, to think properly of his existence. He is only one of those particles which exist in a summation with the other particles, and all of which have their origin from Lord Shri Krishna, and all of them have to go back to him. So the principle of multiplicity emerging from a unity and merging back into that unity, this cyclic process that goes around in the cosmos, which is just a play of the power that is God, the power that is Lord Shri Krishna, has been explained in this chapter. This chapter begins with Arjun explicitly explaining that he is unable to cope up with this situation. He was trembling under the stress of the circumstance that he was facing his own people with whom he had grown up. He had taken his special art of archery. He refuses to take part in a battle and requests Shri Krishna to be his spiritual guide and tell him the proper path of action. Now, this Bhagavad Gita is very relevant to be studied, particularly in the Indian uh, uh, state of uh, a disillusionment. But then, this is not what is suffered by just people, by just Arjun, by just the people of India, but it is suffered by everyone who is supposed to be possessed with intelligence. We all, intelligent beings, come to a state of affairs where we do not know. We succumb to misery. We succumb to a sense of chaos. We do not reason out things before us. And this is the state of affairs suffered by Arjun. Arjun, the warrior. Arjun, the one who was the best, as is told by all the succeeding ages, and who was specially picked up by the Creator to chariot him into this kshetra of action, into this area of action. If we look at it from the symbolic point of view, Arjun is the body and Shri Krishna is the consciousness. The body may suffer a sense of helplessness. It may suffer a lack of reasoning, but the consciousness will always guide, steer the body through this darkness. When Shri Krishna sees Arjun shivering and lying down in the chariot in desperation with his Gandhi fallen low, the phenomenal bow that he carried, and he becoming so helpless as not on also being able to cast another look at the warring opposition, then Shri Krishna tells him about the immortal nature of soul. He says, Lord Shri Krishna explains that it is you are looking at the bodies. The bodies are not me, and yet I am evident. I make myself visible in these forms. So if these bespattered on this battleground of Kurukshetra are me, and at my behest are they going, you are only liberating them from their physical existence. He reprimands Krishna with love, with great comfort. He tells him that you have to perform your duty. As an archer and as one of the champions of goodness, you have to perform the duty. If you do not do it, you will fall to infamy and humiliation. In fact, these bodies which are there in front of me are going to finally find a union, a yoga with the Creator. He then says that there is a science of work. We perform a task with the body. But if it is not guided by buddhi, then the accomplishment of a task cannot be considered. It cannot be materialized. It will not come into effect unless the buddhi is integral or finds an expression. He says that by working with the intent of performing your duty, the bondage creating karmas get transformed into bondage breaking karmas. We all come in our life, in this very life, to a situation where we are split into performing an action and not performing that action. Though we vitally know from deep within that the performance of this is needed, is going to justify my existence, then still we feel that we may not be able to do it as well. And by doing this action, we may be incurring a sense of guilt, a sense of complete dissolution after the performance of this action. Yet, do we must. I shall give you an example that even a bird, a very small sparrow, at the time when she realizes that she has to lay its eggs, she brings twigs from sundry places and weaves them into a nest. And after that, on this nest, she plucks out feathers from her own body and lays them down in this nest. Though the egg has a very strong shell to protect it, yet the mother performs the task of plucking feathers from her own breast and making a cushion for the eggs to be comfortable, to be warm. And when chicks have grown, she performs all duty of rearing them up. The father also does it. But there comes a time when she has to drive them out of that nest. Because unless she does it, how will the chicks know their essential elemental function of flight? Is a mother rude or cruel in driving out the chicks? We all are also confronted with such things. We grow in love. We are reared in love. But there comes a time when your parents have to ask you to find a dutiful path for your own, a purpose for your own. I am not, this you may not be able to feel because you have not grown with this cult. It is very disgusting that we do not read, we are not in the know of the scriptures that speak about the duties at all level. Duties as a child, duties as an adolescent, duties as a youth, duties as a family person, and duties as an old man. All this while we may be performing duties for others, but there is a duty that you have to perform for yourself, and which will justify the existence. The Sankhya Yoga has to be performed. One may become disillusioned with the world outside. One may not be able to find out the answers of things, but the consciousness has to be sought after. The consciousness is part of it is the intelligence that we all are endowed with. No one will thrust one's arm in a burning fire to find out how it feels when one is burnt. But the intelligence tells us even the warmth from a distance must be good enough to tell you that approaching it very closely might cause disaster. If that intelligence is there, and if we suspend this intelligence in favor of the physical weakness of falling prey to undue emotions, then the existence of a person as a human being cannot be justified. It is not to seek any heavenly abode, it is to seek a fulfillment, the fulfillment of having done and performed the duty that was required from you as a person possessed with the faculty. Arjun has that faculty. We all have the faculty. We have all been given this body and this intelligence. And in between, a mind that unifies the two, that brings the Sankhya Yoga, that brings a unification of the sense, the sensibility. So, I am affixing a PDF on this on the site where I am placing this lecture of mine, so that you can read the verses 9 to 16. Verses 1 to 8 I already served some time back, and now I am placing the verses 9 to 16. Read those, and they should substantially bring you to an identification of yourself with Arjun, and of the consciousness and the sense of being righteous will be the Krishna for you. This is all for today. Thank you.